The roar of a 1973 Gran Torino Sport. This type of muscle car may have turned some heads as it cruised the streets in its glory days. But after sitting for a few years, this car has needed a little love. Car enthusiast Trevor has been working on vehicles his whole life with his dad and brothers and has been restoring this Torino for the last 5 years.
My boss at work, his friend owned this car back in the 80s. At some point in time in the late 80s, he stopped driving the car and parked it in a shed. Unfortunately, the shed was on a farm and the shed got pretty rotted out, mouse-eaten and wet. So it kind of took the car down with it. Back 5 years ago now, I actually found out that he had this car with a 429 in it, and I jumped on it as quickly as I could, went out there and picked up the car and brought her home.
The car was originally sold from Glanville Ford in Medicine Hat, and Trevor loves the fact that it's an original Medicine Hat car and hopes to hang on to that history.
A little bit of improvements on the car just to make it a little bit more powerful and a little more nasty. But for the most part, I'm going to try to keep the car kind of in its glory days when it was a Medicine Hat car and it was a streeted car, so that some of the guys from those days might actually recognize the thing when they see it rolling around.
Trevor says he enjoys being able to carry on one of his favorite pastimes, and luckily he still has help from his family.
My two brothers that I've got left are licensed mechanics, which is really handy. They've been able to help me out a little bit here and there, even just some of my thoughts as to what I'm doing, whether I'm doing it right or if I should do things differently. My knowledge is all kind of try it out and see how it goes knowledge, so being able to have a second hand or a third hand to say, okay, no, don't do it this way, do it that way, or even give suggestions as to problem solving is a really handy thing to have.
One day he hopes that his kids are into fixing up cars just as much as he is.
So I've got 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, and they like to tinker a little bit as well. So the more that I can get them into the hobby, the more that we can keep that hobby alive and really get them moving on it as well. And now for the girls, I wouldn't mind if one day they're able to change oil and their boyfriends aren't. So that'll make me proud too.
He hopes to hit the pavement in his Torino by next summer. For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Leanne Evans.